What is our calling in life? Growing up in elementary school, people would always ask us what we wanted to be when we grew up. Now, some kids would answer a doctor, others an astronaut, others a garbage man. For me, I usually answered that I wanted to be a Jedi princess. You see, from an early age, we are ingrained with this idea of searching for what we are called to in this world. So, as Christians, what should we strive to be when we grow up? 2 Corinthians 4:13 and 14 says, "Since we have the same spirit of faith, according to what has been written, I believed, and so I spoke. So we also believe, and so we also speak, knowing that he who raised the Lord Jesus raises us also with Jesus and brings us with you into his presence." According to this verse, we are called to have faith. But more than that, we are called to do something about it. But we must first understand, what is faith? Paul, the author of this verse, quotes a psalm here, particularly Psalm 116. Now, in this psalm, there is an epic struggle depicted. A man is coming to God on his knees because the world had been beating him down. Yet, in the moment of his great trial, he believed, and so he spoke. He knew that God had both the power and intention of helping him, and so he called on the Lord. He had faith. The dictionary defines faith as confidence or trust in a person or thing. For us, faith is putting our trust in God that he will take care of us. So, now that we have a better idea of what faith is, why should we have it? What role does faith play in our lives? The answer is simple. It's a matter of purpose. Faith gives our lives purpose. Because faith is included in how God designed us, we will always put our faith in something. Be that money or cars or fame or people. We will find purpose in these things that we put our faith in. But when we find our purpose in being faithful to God, we find something more. We find a fullness that many spend their whole lives searching for. Verse 14 of our text talks about how we will be raised up with Jesus and brought into the presence of God as the result of our faith. So, how does having faith relate to our calling in life? We must recognize that faith is so much more than just putting our trust in God. Faith is an all-the-time thing that infiltrates into every part of our lives. Faith is putting what we believe about God into action. Verse 13 of our text says, "Since we have the same spirit of faith according to what has been written, I believed and so I spoke. So we also believe, and so we also speak." You see, this verse requires something to be done with our faith. It requires it to be communicated to others. We believe, and so we speak. But why should we speak? Isn't faith in God enough? Simply put, no. If our faith is in God, the God of the universe, the God who called men like Abraham and Moses to have faith, the God who remained faithful to his people when they constantly turned their back on him, the God who sent his son to that same people, knowing that we would spit in his face and kill him on a cross, but loved us enough to send him anyway. If our faith is in that God, we won't be able to be silent about it. You see, we speak because we believe. Faith is putting what we believe about God into action. Faith is saying, God is my number one. I live for him. And that's not even the best part. Verse 14 of our text says, knowing that He, God, who raised the Lord Jesus, raises us also with Jesus and brings us with you into His presence. When we have faith, that same God we just talked about raises us up in a way that we are not alone, raises us up with the very Son He sent to save us, raises us up with Jesus and brings us into His presence. Talk about purpose. So, in answer to the question, what is our calling in life? The answer is simple. We are called to have faith. But more than that, we are called to put that faith into action and speak.